Hey guys, what's up? And this is the car that did the 4.4 quarter-mile time in Car Simulator. So I figured I might as well share with you guys how to do it for yourself if you feel like it. I'm sure there's a better way of doing this, adding less horsepower so your tires just stick and you don't spin your tires all the way down the drag strip. But this is my way of doing it, and it's cool, it's fun, and you should get to see your car fly. So, currently this car has around 23,000 horsepower. If I go ahead and show you the screenshot of the dyno stats. So basically, you don't need any mods to do this. Usually you install like a drag car mod or something. I do have the performance DLC, so this engine itself, without any modifying the game files at all, would have around 800 horsepower, 1200. I think it had around 1900 after all the performance parts. So, and it was doing 11:10.5 seconds in the quarter mile. And that was, that wasn't good enough for me. Because I'm thinking, 1900 horsepower, but this thing should be doing 9s. But it's not. So I thought there was some sort of threshold in the game that prevented you from accelerating at a certain speed because the tires don't stick. But clearly we've broken that threshold. So the way I do it is I modify text files without any mods or anything like that because they're just too much of a pain. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into that and show you guys how to do it for yourself. Alright, so to modify the game files, if you have it on Steam, I don't know why you wouldn't, you want to go ahead and go to Properties, Local Files, Browse Local Files, just like you would do usually. And then you go to Data, right here, and then Data Cars. Now, right here, you have all the cars in the game, you have their picture, and then you have their text file. Now the way this works is, I'm just going to go ahead and find the Cobra that I'm using. Usually, sometimes you'll get a nice organized line like this, or you get a jumbled mass of text like this, and it's really fun to find things. But to find stuff right like in here, you really don't have to modify anything about the car itself, but you can just for fun. Like for instance, you can change it, the drivetrain, the gears. You can have a minimum of 3 gears and a maximum of 6, I believe, is what it goes to. You can't change the gear ratios at all. That just breaks your game, and you have to restore, delete this, and then repair the game files through Steam. Or you can just save a copy of it on your desktop if you're going to mess with this and see what works or not. But that's pretty much the only thing you can change without the gears and the transmission drivetrain, without severely messing up your game. And you can confirm which car you have. Like for instance, I have the drag version of the Cobra. You can just go in this JPEG here and just like make sure it's the right one, because there's so many different types. Thanks, Windows. So down at the very bottom of the data cars folder, you have the cars, and this is just the names of the cars, and engines and tires. Now these two right here, we're going to be modifying things in those. Now currently I have the V8 quadruport twin turb skis in the Cobra, and this is the thing that you're going to want to modify. You're going to want to modify for the engine. Now, clearly, A base 6,000 horsepower is already insanely disgusting. So I had a theory. So the more RPMs you have, the longer your gears are, obviously, because that's just how that works in this game. So I figured, when you're driving down the track with so much horsepower, you're basically redlining through the whole track. So if there's more horsepower, you don't redline and you get a constant power down to the wheels. So 15,000 is what I decided to go with. You could go higher than that. These numbers you can really change as long as you don't go this below 1,000. It just sort of messes up the launch and it doesn't really move. You can also change the engine sound here. Just a little side thing. You can, if you like the sound of a different engine, you can make it sound like a different engine. So usually this is how it is in more like supercars and such. Your max power RPM is when you hit your power threshold and it starts to drop. So the max RPM is 16,000, my bad. This is the max power. So once I start to go above 16,000, the power starts to drop a bit. So when I'm redlining, the wheels stop spinning as much and they focus on grip and more speed. Now the torque, I played with numbers, it didn't really change much. So you can modify this as much as you want. Again, as long as you don't modify the minimum RPMs. And you have all the other engines in the game you can modify there. Now for the tires, obviously your tires are just going to sit there and spin and just not move at all. So currently I have the grip modifier to set to 15. This is normally 1.55, just the same as this one, I believe. I modified this a couple days ago, I don't remember what it was. But these are all the different tires. This is the specific tire. If you don't know which one you have, you're just better off modifying one at a time. Now, for the modifications and the text files that you do to go through in-game, you don't have to reload the game. You can either be in your garage and send it to the parking garage and then bring it back into the workshop, and that simply refreshes the data on the car so you don't have to restart the game every time. Or on the drag strip, you can just, when you're sitting there at the restart or go back to your garage screen, you modify the files, save them, hit restart the race, and it reloads everything. So you never have to restart the game while you're doing this, unless your game breaks, of course. So the price doesn't really matter because I'm in the sandbox mode. But this is what I found to be most efficient, because if you really go much above this, your car just starts to veer off in random directions because there's too much tire stick. So for the drag, the Slick Plus is the back ones, and if you put normal slicks, this is obviously the normal slick. But if your car has the title drag in it, this is what you're going to want right here, which I assume is what you're doing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You can play with those numbers really as much as you want. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching, sticking around to the end. If you waited here, listening to me babble to myself. And if you like the video, go ahead and just hit the subscribe button. It's appreciated. I like seeing the numbers go up very, very slowly. So see you next time. Bye.